We are coming to you from Angel Stadium, the Big A in Anaheim, California, where tonight Comcast Sportsnet presents White Sox baseball. It's Jose Abreu, Adam Dunn, Alexa Ramirez in the Sox as they get set to butt heads with Mike Trout, Albert Pujols, Josh Hamilton, and Mike Scioscia's Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. Hi, everybody, and welcome. With Steve Stone, I'm Ken Harrelson as we get set to bring you Game 2 of this three-game series. If you missed the opener last night, it was just too much to Jared Weaver. In fact, after the game, going down, talking with some of our hitters, that was the topic of the conversation. He was dazzling us with curveballs of the slower, and slowest variety, and they won that ball game 8-4. But tonight, a different story.
Well, Chris Sale's going to the mound, and last time out, it helps if you've got your best pitcher with one of his best games ever, and that's exactly what happened against the Padres. Through a complete game, was a two-hitter, gave up one earned run, he fanned 9, and he baffled the Padres all afternoon long. If he's anywhere close to that good tonight, he's going to be in good shape.
Well, against the Angels, he's had some pretty good success.
He's had great luck against the Angels. They've done absolutely nothing with him. He's had 3 starts. He's 3-0 against them. He's faced them 5 times. As you can see, .38 ERA, and that one run, that lone run, came courtesy of a home run off the bat of Albert Pujols. Now, this was back in 2012. He left one up and out over the plate, and Albert took it out of the ballpark, one of his 507. But Albert's struggling right now, and hopefully Chris Sale and the offense will come to play tonight.
All right, it'll be Chris Sale against Matt Shoemaker on the bump for the Angels, so sit back, relax, and strap it down. White Sox baseball coming your way.
Comcast Sportsnet is brought to you in part by your Chicago area and Northwest Indiana Lexus dealer, who invites you to test drive a Lexus today. Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Illinois. Through it all. AT&T Uverse. AT&T Uverse TV. Check availability at 1-800-PIC-ATT. Rethink possible. And by Ford. Check out America's freshest lineup at your local Ford store or at localfordstores.com.
Welcome back to Angels Stadium in beautiful Anaheim, California. The weather is absolutely gorgeous, and the Angels come into action tonight, 5.5 games in back of Oakland. Our Sox come in 3.5 games in back of Detroit. And let's take a look at the last 9 games. And surprisingly, the offense hasn't been there. .218 batting average, 24 runs scored. They haven't scored more than 4 runs a game. That shows you with a 5-4 record that the ERA has been pretty good. The defense has been good. The bullpen has been overwhelming. 2.05 bullpen ERA, and of course 3-0 one-run games. If you're not going to score a whole lot, you're going to be in close games, and you're going to have to win by executing in those close games, and the Sox have been able to do just that. So it can be a terrific road trip, but to do that, Chris Sale has to be Chris Sale tonight, and hopefully they can come away and win the last couple games of this series and take both of the series out on the West Coast. Let's take a look at how Robin is going to line up our Sox for the game tonight. Adam Eaton to lead it off in center field. Gordon Beckham batting second, playing second. Connor Gillespie third and playing third. Jose Abreu in the cleanup spot with Adam Dunn, the designated hitter, hitting number 450 last night. Then Alexi Ramirez, Dayan Viciedo, Alejandro Diaz, and Tyler Flowers rounded out. The key defensive setup and how they'll line up behind Matt Shoemaker. It's Hamilton, Trout, and Cowgill in the outfield with Freese, Ibar, Kendrick, who's back in the lineup, and Albert Pujols at first. Chris Iannetta behind the plate, and our Lexus Pursuing Perfection starting pitcher is Matt Shoemaker. On for his 5th start, his 9th game overall. He's 3-1. His ERA a touch over 4. As you can see, he's got pretty good control, and surprisingly, 28 strikeouts in 29 innings. His pitch, a lot like Zach Putnam, his put-away pitch is the splitter, and he'll use that when he gets ahead. The umpires for the game tonight: Phil Cuzzy behind the plate, Jerry Davis, the crew chief, is at first, Quinn Wolcott is at second, and Greg Gibson is at third. We're a little late starting because they had a ceremony honoring the 500th home run of Albert Pujols. Tony La Russa, one of the men who was aboard for the ceremony, obviously his manager in St. Louis. And Albert climbing up that ladder, and he's got a whole lot left in him, no doubt. The Angels certainly hope so, as they signed him to an astonishingly long 10-year contract. So they've thrown the ball around the infield. That means we're ready to play baseball, and I'm ready to turn it over to my play-by-play partner, Ken Harrelson.
All right, Stevie, thank you. And once again, good evening, everyone, and welcome to White Sox baseball right here over Comcast Sportsnet. So happy you could join us for Game 2 of this 3-game series. And before we show you our picks to click, you at home select yours. Yeah, that was a nice ceremony showing all the members of the 500 home run club. As Matt Shoemaker now getting his pregame thoughts together. And we're about ready for the first pitch of this ball game. Chris Sale against Matt Shoemaker. And Adam takes ball 1. Adam comes in at 247, a homer. He's driven in 15. He was 1 for 4 last night. And the Sox as a club come in at 255. Same as the Angels. There's a strike. None of our guys have ever faced Shoemaker out of Trenton, Michigan. He's 27 years old, 6'2", 225 pounds. And I check it up on the breaking ball, so the count 1-2.
Shoemaker's a 4-pitch pitcher. The slider and the curveball interchangeable. The only pitch that does stand out is that splitter.
Fouls out and away. So the count hangs at 1-2. And that's out number 1.
Adam thought this ball was inside. The call could have gone either way. The ball was drifting back over the inside part of the plate. And he gets rung up by Phil Cuzzy.
So here's Beckham. Takes first pitch strike. According to 282 for homers, 11 knocked in. 0 for 4 last evening. Close pitch, didn't get it.
Shoemaker's going to work quickly, and he's going to throw a lot of strikes.
Checks it up. He did not go.
Appeal to Jerry Davis, the crew chief, working first base tonight.
And the count 3-1. Outfield for the most part straight up. Fouls that back, and here at the Big A, 330 down the lines, 365 in short right center, 395 straight away center, 380 in left center. And that ball hit well into right, but they got a man there. So Colin Cowgill makes the catch for out number 2. And right now, let's check out our picks to click tonight. And here our director and the crew. Well, they went with Gillespie. Steve's going with Gordon Beckham and Bill Waters, Chris Taylor, John Stortz, Mallory Whitlock, Kathy Bingham, Tina Stack, Nancy Trump, Christy Connors, and I. We're going to go with Adam Eaton. And there's the strike. Connor at 340, no homers, 18 knocked in.
On base percentage at 395, so he will take his walks.
Didn't have to run very hard on that one, as that's just a solid single in the right field. And Steve's heart's really broken because the crew took Gillespie tonight before he could get it.
I'd take him every night. And so the crew with a running start, as we have the top 3 in the lineup, and the crew, if they stopped it right now, they would win. But they're not going to.
Here's the cannon. Abreu hitting at 266, 17 homers, 47 driven in. That pitch at 92.
Get a very hittable fastball on the first pitch. You don't see that too often over the last 4 games. A couple of home runs, a couple of doubles, 5 driven in, and a batting average at 333. That's since coming off the disabled list.
Short lead by Gillespie. That curveball in the dirt. Connor's not going anywhere.
We saw Hank Conger behind the plate last night. Chris Iannetta tonight. He started his career with the Colorado Rockies.
1-1 pitch.
Kind of waved the disc breaking ball in the dirt. was his hard slider. Way out of the zone in our Menards pitch tracks.
They've been out of sorts a little bit lately. Meanwhile, after half inning play, it's our guys nothing and their guys coming to bat.
It's going to be Kendrick, Trout, and Pujols at the top, with Freese, Hamilton, and Crone as the designated hitter. Then Ibar, Iannetta, and Cowgill rounded out. The key defensive setup and how they'll line up behind Chris Sale. Diaza, Eaton, and Viciedo in the outfield, with Gillespie, Ramirez, Beckham, and Abreu in the infield. Tyler Flowers gets a nod behind the plate. And our Lexus pursuing perfection starting pitcher is Chris Sale. He's 5-0. His ERA, a wonderful 1.59, 52 strikeouts, just 8 walks in 45 and a third innings. His last time out, a 2-hit, 1-run affair against San Diego.
So here is Howie Kendrick. Howie did not play last night as he takes that first pitch fastball outside. 30-year-old second baseman comes in hitting at .283, 3 homers, 25 knocked in. Can't get that one. As I mentioned, Angels hitting the same as our Sox at .255. They have a 3.96 team ERA. Our guys are 14 and 17 on the road. The Halos are 16 and 13 at home. Our guys are 17 and 14 at our place. Their guys are 16 and 15 on the road.
Kendrick usually hits the ball hard to right and right center field, and he is one of their best base stealers. He's 9 out of 12 in that department, so it would behoove Chris to keep him off base.
That'll play right side.
As you can see, right field is his field of preference. Doesn't pull much. He will pull the soft breaking ball, but he's likely, if he sees a slider at all, it's going to be way inside from Sale.
He gone. Yes.
Throws up some high heat at 95 and throws it right by him. This is upper part of the strike zone, and Kendrick can't catch up to him.
Kendrick is now 1 for 8 lifetime against Chris with 5 strikeouts.
He's not the Lone Ranger. There's a lot of those numbers against Chris Sale over the course of his brief but very successful major league career.
So here is Mike Trout, 22-year-old center fielder. He takes first pitch strike. Trout at 294, 11 long ones, and he's driven in 39. That is tops on the club. Mike was 1 for 4 last night. Gap out there in left center. That changeup. And the count 2-1. That leading up and checking a few scores for you. Minnesota shuts out Houston 8-0. Top of the ninth, the Kansas City 8-4 Royals over the Yankees. That's out of play.
Good straight change is probably going to get Trout now, as he's seen almost a steady diet of fastballs. The only straight change he saw was out of the zone.
And the 2-2 pitch. Also, Mark Burley was a tough luck loser. Cardinals shut out Toronto 5-0. Burley went 7 innings, giving up 1 run.
What a remarkable season it's been for Mark Burley. His ERA just a touch over 2. Still a very impressive 10-2 record.
And that's the base on balls to a man who can run. He's 6 for 6 in stolen bases.
The Angels haven't run all that often, but when they've run, they've been very successful. 36 steals, been thrown out just 8 times.
So here's Albert, 1 for 4 last night with his 507th home run.
That's Gary DiSarcina, the third base coach, going through his set of signs. Alfredo Griffin, the first base coach.
Won the count with a 34-year-old veteran. Albert, a .321 lifetime hitter coming into this season. Another final. Cleveland beat Texas 8-3 down in Arlington. Tomlin, Tepish. Pull a string on him, had him way out in front. Well, our boy won again.
Jeff Samardzija won 2 in a row now.
Beat the Marlins 5-2. Has blowing away.
Get Albert to hit the ball on the ground, it's going to be pretty much a for sure double play. Grounded into 9 of them this year to lead the team.
Hopefully, if that's the case, it's hit fairly sharp, because Mike Trout can get down there and hurt.
He's going to be careful at first, because Chris Sale has not shown him his good move yet.
The 1-2 pitch. That'll be an error. That'll be his 5th. Got to catch it before you can throw it.
There was your double play ground ball. Now Chris is going to have to pitch over an error. Good straight change. It was down. And unfortunately, Connor cannot come up with it.
That'll bring up the third baseman, David Freese, hitting at .231, a couple of homers. He's driven in 15. And he takes first pitch strike. First time he has faced Our Chris Sale. Count evens.
Peter Borges went over to St. Louis in exchange for David Freese. Borges was the premier player in that deal. A couple of years ago, 2012, Freese hit .293 with the Cardinals. Last year he dipped a bit.
There's that breaking ball down in the end, so the count now 2-1. Well, we just have to get our defense sharpened up a little bit. This is the 5th game of the 6-game road trip. All right, take your time. You got plenty of them. Rack them up. So he throws 2 double play balls in that inning, and one of them is turned over.
In the game, brought to you by Miller Lite.
And you can show off the colors of your alma mater on College Day on Wednesday, June 18th, with specially priced tickets for all college and university students, alumni, faculty, friends, and family. Now, those tickets start at just $10 for lower level seats. So get your tickets by visiting whitesox.com/UNIV. Dunn, Ramirez, Viciedo face Matt Shoemaker. Adam last night had a couple of hits to left field on the ground, which was a beautiful thing to see, and then of course a bomb, a long, high towering 2-run homer.
Shoemaker out of Eastern Michigan University. Been a member of this Angel organization since 2008.
Two and two the count.
There's a put-away splitter and a good stop by Iannetta.
That's the third strikeout. One down, and here is Alexei. Alexei 2 for 5 last evening, comes in hitting at .321, 7 homers and 36 knocked in. Outfield straight up, spread out. Gap out there in right center. That curveball, he was all over it, but just underneath it. Top of the ninth inning at Comerica Park. Tigers leading Boston 8-4, but the Red Sox have 2 on, nobody out against Joe Nathan.
That's been a recurring problem for Joe Nathan.
Two down. 4 strikeouts.
Flicker's not overpowering, but he can throw it pretty much where he wants to, and this pitch is off the plate inside, and he just threw it right by him.
That'll bring up Viciedo, hitting at .260, 5 long ones, 21 driven in. He was 0 for 5 last evening. He missed that game, as we talked about. Jared Weaver was tantalizing with the change-ups, the slow curves, the slower curves, and then the slowest curves.
Well, there is one of the aces of their staff, and the fastest fastball he threw last night was 87 and only hit that once.
Most of them were 84 and 85.
As you can see, 9 strikeouts, 4 walks. That was somewhat surprising because he's got very good control.
Curveball. That's going to be another easy inning for him with a couple of strikeouts. And we'll go to the bottom of the second. Scores.
And the drive for a couple of baseball viewing parties. Come to Buffalo Wild Wings in Skokie on Tuesday and Mount Prospect on Wednesday for your chance to win one of 50 pairs of tickets to the Drive's 13th birthday concert starring Peter Frampton and Cheap Trick. It's baseball, music, and good times, all brought to you by Comcast Sportsnet and The Drive.
And here's the Josh Hamilton hitting at .357, 3 homers. He's driven in 8. Takes a breaking ball strike. Josh was 2 for 4 with an RBI last night. Got a breaking ball from the end zone and hammered it down into that right field corner for a double.
Well, I'm sure he's very happy to be back in the starting lineup, but I don't know of too many left-handers that are ecstatic about facing Chris Sale. He didn't like that call, but it had part of the lower part of the plate. Mike Scioscia didn't like the call either, but again, part of the lower part of the plate.
He gone.
Slider, fastball, slider, end of at bat. Second strikeout for Chris.
So here's Crone, who was related to our Chris Crone, who was in the organization. He's hitting at .299, 3 homers, 14 knocked in.
He had a big hit last night.
Yeah, he did. Big 2 RBI hit. So he takes that fastball at 93.
Well, there was a lot of talk amongst the Angel people that it was actually an audition to see who would go down, either Crone or Green, because they had to get another pitcher in their pen. Mike Scioscia wouldn't be specific as to when they were going to get him, but it all came out today as they sent down Green and kept Crone. Crone has been a good hitter for them, especially in the clutch, and that's one of the reasons why he's still here.
Well, the other kid, Green, was hitting .361 going into last night, and he was 1 for 3 in that ball game with a run scored. So offensively, he was doing the job. He gone. But you know, baseball is a day-to-day game. For the most part, it always has been and always will be. Sometimes one at-bat can change a young man's career. I'll give you an example. When I was playing with Kansas City, Eddie Lopez was the manager. That was my rookie year, and I couldn't hit that wall over there. I was really scuffling. So Eddie comes up to me before the game and says, look, Charlie's in town. Charlie Finley was in town. He says, look, he said, you've been struggling. We want you to go back down, and that's popped up. Stay in here. Oh, yeah, Will. And that'll retire the side. So a couple of strikeouts, a pop out, and we'll go to the third.
To the top of the third, and so now we have Charlie Finley at your game with you struggling in Kansas City.
I couldn't hit anything, so Eddie Lopez, the manager, comes up to me, and I was just a kid, you know, and he goes, look, he said, Charlie wants you to go down to Portland and get some at bats you've been struggling, and he says, but if you want to play today, I'll put you in the lineup because we weren't going anywhere anyway. I said, sure. So they had a tough right-hander named Frank Larry pitching.
Remember him?
Yankee killer. Well, don't you know, we get to about the 6th, 7th inning, there are a couple of guys on. He hung me a slider. And I hit it in the upper deck in center field at Old Tiger Stadium. So after the game was over, Lopez comes over to me with a smile on his face. And he says, Charlie said, anybody can hit a ball that far is not going back to AAA. So you're going to be with us. And that's how one at bat can change you. So last night, that big 2 RBI base hit by Crone may have kept him in the big leagues.
Right in the middle of that inning, it turned out to be a 5-run inning, a 6-hit inning, and Crone took it from a 2-1 game to a 4-1 game with a rifle double down the line.
Yeah. Two and one to count to Diaz. Hitting at 184. He was 1 for 2 last night with a home run. And that ball is going to souvenir left side. Yeah, but over my career, and I'm sure over your career as well, as long as you and I both have been in the game, that you have seen one inning for a pitcher maybe, or whatever, one at bat for a hitter, keep a guy in the big leagues, or send him down to the minor leagues.
You only get so many opportunities, and when you get them, you've got to make the most of them. They don't come around often. Sometimes it's an injury to one of the guys that the team counted on. You get a chance to come up from the minor leagues, and then you have to make an impression. If you don't, you'll be sent down, and who knows then what happens.
That ball slicing away. Stink keeps slicing. It will. That's in the gap. So Diaz with a leadoff double. Alejandro, that's his 6th two-bagger.
Even with the great speed of Mike Trout, he's got no chance on this one. It's a fastball down, and this one in the gap. So a good way to start off the 3rd inning. With Chris Sale on the hill, you pick up a run or two. It could be all you need.
So Tyler's got a job to do. As he started to come up with it, but he didn't.
Usually in a situation where you're trying to force the hitter to pull the ball, you try to throw him inside. They've got the whole left side of the infield exposed. Ibar's the guy charged with going in behind Diaz. They don't think that Tyler is going to pull it under any conditions.
Big pitch right here in the scheme of things. He looks, goes to first. So sacrifice bunt. Now Diaz at 3rd. So a good job, and that's exactly what Steve was just alluding to. When you got Chris Sale out there on the mound, you manage a little bit different.
You might not try to manage for 1 run, but when your ace is out there throwing as well as Chris can throw, this is a good at bat, and Tyler got the job done.
Better believe it. You know what? Now they bring the infield in, and here is Adam. But with some guys that are struggling a little bit, who are in rotation, they've got to be out there. You might play for a big inning. As that is foul, left side into the seats. There's a spot where Tony La Russa was very good, according to who was pitching. He might just play for that 1 run.
Well, he also had usually a guy or two in that lineup that you could put on either the safety squeeze or the suicide squeeze, and they would get the bunt down.
The 0-1 pitch. Breaking ball now. He's in the big hole, 0-2, and he's got to shorten it up and just make some contact.
Adam does have one sacrifice fly this year. And Iannetta has never been known as one of the better defensive catchers around. Although tonight at least he's doing a nice job of blocking low pitches. And there he blocks another. So Shoemaker has 3 wild pitches this year, and that was very close to the 4th.
No, this is just the top of the 3rd that we've seen Matt Shoemaker. And it looks like if he's going to miss, he's going to miss down.
He's got a pretty good idea that that fastball is less than overpowering, although it's a good fastball when spotted.
Look at this. Was that sweet? So here comes Alejandro on the base hit by Adam and his 1-0 good guys.
16th run batted in, and a job well done.
So Bill Waters, Chris Taylor, John Storch picks to click, gets it done.
Leadoff double comes home, and Adam, who was just trying to make some contact, down 1-2, drives home the first run of the ball game.
And here's Gordon. Hit the ball fairly deep to right field his first trip. Jacks it up, fouls it off.
Joe Nathan is trying his best to get Boston back in that game. He's given up a couple of runs in the night, and he's got 2 on. He throws that ball away, and that's going to go as an error on Cron.
We'll take it. So they give it to the pitcher.
Albert can't corral it. That ball hit way in front of first base, and for a moment Adam thought of going to third, then thought better of it. The fact that he's in scoring position with only 1 out.
Now Gordon's got a job to do with the count 0-1. And that's to try to get him in. This is where hitting, situational hitting, can change from pitch to pitch. Entirely different mindset with 1 out, nobody on. Entirely different mindset with 1 out, 1 on. Entirely different mindset, 1 out, and a man in scoring position. Breaking ball, no. Two and 1 to count. Good rip, but underneath it.
He got a very good fastball to hit. It was on the outer third. It was up. This is not the best throwing outfield around, so on a base hit, it'll be very tough to throw out Adam Eaton at the plate.
There's the base hit. So the arrow's going to jump up and bite Shoemaker. And it's 2-0. Attaboy. Gordon.
RBI number 12. And that ball was a pretty good pitch. That was low and away. Gordon did a good job. And so that's going to bring Mike Butcher, the pitching coach, out to have a word with his young right-hander.
Yeah. Take another look at the swing. Watch how he keeps the bat in front of his chest. Watch how short and quick it is. Bat stays in front of his chest. Let it go, yeah. Never gets past his chest. Right there. Stops. It's not unlike golfers who have to keep the club in front of their chest. A lot of similarities in those two swings, just different planes. Curveball to Gillespie, down low. And that is the final now. Detroit beats Boston 8-6. Scherzer 7-2 over Lester, 6-7. That curveball high.
Since coming off the disabled list, Connor's hitting .394.
Top hand, a lot of top spin on that ball, but a good recovery right there by Howie. And that is out number 2. See what a little bunt by Tyler Flowers can put pressure on the other team.
It also really helps when your number 1 is going and you know your number 1 is giving up very little of anything these days. It puts a lot of pressure on that opposing pitcher, and in this case, Kendrick, thinking about 2 before he got 1, is able to have the presence of mind to come back and make the play. But meanwhile, they should be out of the inning, and instead they risk giving up another run or 2.
There's the curveball strike. Abreu struck out. I love the bunt. I'll tell you, it's becoming a dinosaur. It's becoming a lost art. And especially in the American League.
Well, you don't see it a whole lot when your 5th starter's on the mound, but you should see it a whole lot when your number 1 starter's on the mound, because it's probably going to be a close game. It's probably going to be low scoring, at least from the Angels' point of view. They're going to be scratching and clawing to score anything. Meanwhile, Sox have 2 up on the board, largely because of a successful sacrifice.
Most of the games, if you were to draw a line from the pitcher's rubber over to first base and then draw another line, a continuous line from the pitcher's rubber over to third base in that big triangle, which would look like a triangle, most of the games are won and lost right out in that area. That ball ripped but foul. I was talking with TK, Tom Kelly, former manager for the Minnesota Twins, and just did a wonderful job over it. He said that is the area that they worked on the most in spring training each and every year, because that is where most of the games, and he's right. Alvin Dark used to say the same thing. Alvin Dark was a manager for many teams and a great manager. And he said the same thing. Most of the games are won and lost, and that's the reason you want to try to put the pitcher in play when he's out there on the mound as much as possible.
The pitchers who can really help themselves, the guys who can block what normally is the biggest hole in the infield, and that's right back up the middle, those guys help themselves win 3 or 4, sometimes 5 games a year. That's Mark Burley.
Well, you think Mark Burley have 196 wins if he couldn't field his position the way he did?
Absolutely not.
No, not even close. As he gets him pulling his head just a little too much off the pitch, but we come up with a pair and we lead it 2-0.
Photo using hashtag SouthsideFanPhoto for a chance to have it shown on our broadcast later in the game. It's brought to you by AT&T.
Bottom of the third inning, 2-4-1 for our guys. No runs, no hits, and 1 error for their guys. Iannetta, Cowgill, then back to the top of the order with Howie Kendrick. 1 pitch. And
Cullen Cowgill's been a very good 4th outfielder. He's not the kind of guy who probably will win an everyday starting job, but as a swingman in the outfield, his numbers are very good.
Allen at 287, 4 homers, 14 knocked in. You know, getting back to defending pitchers, you take it. I'm going to give you one of the best and one of the worst in this analogy. You take Mark Burley, one of the best fielding pitchers to ever play the game, and he has 196 wins, and he has a lot of those because he helped himself and saved a lot of those games. Now you take the antithesis of that was a guy who had tremendous stuff as a left-hander, could not field his position. That was Britt Burns. Britt wound up with 70 wins, and he lost a lot of games, tough games, because he couldn't field his position. All of us were afraid for Britt, because if the line drive was hit back at him, it was going to hit him. And on the mound, though, he was just magnificent. Pitched one of the greatest games I've ever seen, and of course we lost that.
That was Tito Landrum home run.
Yeah. Lost that one. But that was just a gutsy performance by Britt. He gone. 2 down.
Now Chris is starting to use that straight change a bit more, and when you haven't seen it, you really have no chance to hit it. When a guy can throw 95 and then throws you one of these, your chances are slim and none. And Chris is now using the straight change a lot more, so he doesn't have to use the slider quite as much. And he believes that that's going to keep that elbow healthier and allow him to go deeper into games.
Knock on wood.
Yeah. It's an easier pitch on your arm, and the way he delivers it from the same release point with the same arm velocity as a fastball, you just can't read it.
Alexei, yes. Nice play with a pirouette and a bullet over to Abreu. So another 1-2-3 inning, 2 in a row, and we lead it 2-0.
Throwdown with the Tigers. Don't miss two of the best bats in the American League as they go head-to-head when Abreu and Miggy step up to the plate. It's White Sox Tigers Monday at 6:30 on Comcast Sportsnet. And that's what the Central looks like up to the minute. 4 games back, as is the Tribe, with one pending here tonight, and the Sox with the lead in their best on the hill.
And here's Adam Dunn. Adam struck out on a changeup, a splitter. His first trip. 2-0 good guys. All started with that leadoff double by Diaz last inning, and then a sacrifice bunt by Tyler Flowers to move him over to third. That's a beautiful thing. Pressure is on. They had to bring the infield in. And then a beautiful piece of hitting on a 1-2 count by Adam Eaton. And then again with 2 strikes, Gordon Becker. So the bunt is beautiful. And there are a lot of managers who will absolutely tell you they will not bunt. You played for them.
I did. Hall of Famer Earl Weaver absolutely detested it.
Well, when you got a pitching staff like Earl had, and I love the guy, and he is a Hall of Famer, there's no question about it. But when you got a pitching staff, we got 4 starters like he had, and a bullpen that would absolutely stick that bat where it shouldn't be stuck. You can play this game any way you want to play it.
I do remember, though, very early in my stay over there, Mark Belanger coming up and told me, don't let the little guy get under your skin. And by the way, he doesn't like to bunt. So don't worry. Late in the game, we know how to win baseball games. We will bunt on our own. We're going to win you a lot of games here in Baltimore.
Yeah.
That's exactly what he said.
Yeah, I believe
Don't let the little guy bother you. We'll take it over and we'll win.
Yeah, this is like when you got a Mulder, Zito, and Hudson. You can play this game any way you want to play it.
That was actually the whole philosophy for the 25 years where Baltimore won more games than anybody in the major leagues, was that they would put a better man on the mound than you had every day. That was a philosophy. It took for granted that they could field a baseball and hit the ball out of the park on occasion, but the key was putting the better man on the mound than you had, and it worked for them exceptionally well. And it also worked for those Oakland teams.
Well, they caught the ball. Baltimore is there as a base hit. That a boy. Alexei now 1 for 2. But Baltimore, besides that good pitching, they protected their good pitching by catching the baseball. They caught the ball better than anybody in the American League.
They did for years.
Yeah, when you get that kind of pitching, you can sit back and wait for the 3-run home. Tank, good little soft comebacker to Shoemaker. In this very park right here, it's the last time I've seen it. It was the first time I had seen it in a long time, a few years back. We're leading in a ball game. The Angels laid down 3 perfect consecutive bunts to beat them out. And it just changed the whole psyche of that particular game, plus it changed the whole psyche of that series. That ball hit high and deep. Trout going back on the track. Now is Hamilton. He just missed it. He just missed it.
Alexei was going with the pitch and then had to pick up the baseball, and that's one of the keys, is pick up the baseball. At this point, Alexei realizing that it's going to be caught, and he hustles back.
So here's Alejandro. That double in the gap in left center to lead off last inning. Pitch out, nothing on.
Not a bad idea to run on Iannetta.
Alexei 12 for 14 in that category.
Now, if you do want to run, it's a good pitch to run. However, with Socha giving the signals from the dugout, you could probably bet that Iannetta will put whatever sign they use for a slide step. Try to get him quicker to the plate.
I think that 12 for 15 Alexei is. And that's low. 3-0.
There's Mike going over his set of signs.
There's a shot going foul.
Sounded like he broke his bat. It's because he did.
And a reminder, Sox fans, unwind from the week with Friday nights at the ballpark this summer. All Friday home games. Feature trivia in the Miller Lite Bullpen Sports Bar. Post-game fireworks show set to your favorite music and post-game karaoke at the Chi Sox Bar and Grill. So WhiteSox.com/Fridays for more details. Karaoke. You ever do karaoke?
Yeah, before they had those machines, we used to call it singing. Didn't do it well. Usually did it late. And it was awful.
Oh, boy. That ball hit well into right center field, and that's going to be a tweener. Come on, Alexei. He's going to be all right. He's going to score. So doubles again by Alejandro, and it's a 3-0 Sox lead. Don't stop now, boys.
19th run driven in. As Diaz has had a pretty good start for a game and a half in this series. Taking that ball into the gap. And no chance at all to get Alexei.
He's 3 for 4 with a homer, 2 doubles, run scored, and RBI. And we needed him because he was lately in a big funk. Breaking ball strike. Flowers, who had that sacrifice bunt. To the count. Ground ball left side, sucked up by Freeze right over the top. But big hit. The 2 out RBI double. Knocks in Ramirez, and we lead it 3-0.
Analysis and follow the action with White Sox in-game live on csnchicago.com. It's brought to you by Comcast Business Class.
Chris Sale. We had 3 runs on 6 hits, 1 error. They have no runs on no hits, 1 error. They have had 2 base runners. Chris has allowed 1. It was a walk. The other by an error. So it'll be Trout, Pujols, Freeze, and the 4th hitter Hamilton. This is the iron, the heart of their order. This is a better looking lineup than they had last night.
It's a much better lineup against a left-hand pitcher. The usual left-hand pitcher, of which Chris Sale is not one of those. He can make even the best of lineups look like they don't have bats in their hands.
Well, this is a much better lineup.
Last 3 starts, 2-0, .50. 3 hits in 18 innings, which is absolutely remarkable. Lineup looks a whole lot better with Howie Kendrick in it, and he was just given the day off yesterday. Normally he's going to start against everybody, and he's pretty good.
Plays well.
Yeah, he's a pretty good player.
That one inside. So 2-2 the count.
With 20 pitches in the first inning, and the only reason why he had 20 was a walk and an error in the same inning, but the double play got him out of the inning, and then not too much after that. As you can see, 8 and 7 in the second and third innings.
Full count. Milwaukee hit his way on. But he hit it at somebody. That's deep in the center, but we got a man there. Yes. Beautiful jump catch by Adam.
Chris Sale has a big smile on his face on the hill because he knew he gave up a rocket. But a 3-2, just let him hit it. You got 7 guys behind you. You've got 1 in front of you. And one of those 7 got a chance to make a good play. And Adam Eaton did just that, running to the spot on a line drive bullet off the bat of Trout.
Yeah, he got to that spot in a hurry because that ball was cold.
It was hit awfully hard.
Pujols actually hit a double play grounder that was booted, so he's 0 for 1. Alexei. Sox fans, all season long, you score with Papa John's Pizza. That's when the Sox score 5 or more runs. You get 50% off your entire online order at papajohns.com with the promo code SOX5. The promo code SOX5 the following day. So better ingredients, better pizza, Papa John's. Freeze. Hit into a 6-4-3 double play. That's back.
There's just a tremendous difference in a baseball game when your number 1 is going. The offense doesn't feel like every inning, every out is a World Series. They know that if they get a couple of runs, they can be free and easy because the man you have on your mound is better than the man they have on theirs. And that was the case tonight. Schumacher's not a bad pitcher. He's their number 5 starter. And going against Chris Sale, there's not a whole lot of margin for error, especially the way Chris has thrown since coming off the disabled list.
Everything is self-induced, and pressure is the biggest killer of performance in sports. He did not go, says Jerry Davis, but everything is self-induced. You've been in it, and I've been in it. When you get out, that story is really, it's funny, but it's true. Alexei. And another 1-2-3. That's 10 in a row retired by Chris, and he leads it 3-0. Top of the order here in the top of the 5th. We lead at 3-0. First pitch strike. Adam Eaton, who just made a beautiful catch. He also was 1 for 2 with an RBI and a run scored. Count evens at 1. Two and 1. Three and 1. Don't help him out. He has got himself a base hit. Put the pressure on, trying to get the pitcher involved, and chances are you're going to reach base.
Anytime you try to go after one with your bare hand, you risk exactly what happened to Shoemaker, and that is you're going to drop the ball. If Adam bumps a little bit more, he's going to put some big numbers on his batting average. In the bare hand trying to throw, Shoemaker very unhappy with himself, but it was a pretty decent butt. It would have taken an exceptional play to get him, and he just didn't make it.
So good speed aboard. Well, there's two things with Adam that he has got tremendous upsides in. He's already a terrific defender in center field. As Gordon checks it up, takes strike 1. Bunting more, as you say, becoming more and more accustomed to maybe dragging it towards just getting it by the pitcher, especially the left-handers.
He can do that against lefties.
Right.
He will.
Right. And the next thing is getting a better technique at stealing bases. His technique right now is more just, it's raw. It's just all talent, so to speak. Can he steal a base? Yeah. Is he going to get thrown out? Yeah. So with his speed, it's not good enough as percentage. It can be a lot better.
Well, it will be. We do have to realize, although he came over with a lot of publicity as one of the higher prospects and players in the Diamondbacks organization, he's still a very young player. Still doesn't have
25.
Yeah, near the experience that he will have with playing every day. He was hurt last year. That curtailed things for him. But eventually he'll get up with his speed. He will get up around the 80% mark in stolen bases.
That ball slicing foul. Boy, I tell you, he scalded that ball, scorched it, tattooed it.
Coming into this season, Adam had a grand total of 1 year and 30 days in the major leagues.
Well, his upside's huge. I mean, this is a tremendous deal that Rick Hahn made. I mean, it really is. We haven't had this in a long, long time. But meanwhile, not that fast. But look at the takeout. It was clean. Howie knows it.
That was a real good slide at second base, and that shows you the kind of player Adam Eaton is. This is a guaranteed double play if it's handled cleanly. And yet, look at Eaton go into second base. Kendrick is on the bag. Does a great job of getting off the throw, but he knows from that position, without any footwork, he's going to take the brunt of that. And what you have to do is make sure your spike, at least one of them, is off the ground. Because if you have a planted foot, you're probably going to wind up with a knee injury or an ankle injury. Adam went in, he went in hard, he went in clean, and it was one of those things where Kendrick appreciated, didn't say anything, just completed the double play.
Adam sets the tone for our club. He's our catalyst. That's what a catalyst is, a man who sets the tone for your club. And that little guy is just fun. There's a shot down into the corner. But he makes a guy like that, get a leadoff man like that, and a defender in center field like that, he makes everybody better. Once this exchange by the two, tells how he knew it was clean.
Kendrick had gotten off the throw and had both feet off the ground. So you're going to take the contact, but you're not going to get hurt on that play.
So here is Jose, 0 for 2 with a couple of strikeouts. He's having trouble. He's pulling off the ball with his head just enough. They keep throwing in breaking balls one away, and he keeps pulling off. He will work. He's out of his zone. Is a better way to state it. He's out of it. He was in his zone for the first month, month and a half. Then he got hurt. Deal comes back, and he stayed in his zone. Now, the last few days, he's getting out of it. When he stays in his zone,
he's hard to get out.
Yeah, he is.
Well, that also presupposes that pitchers are going to make those perfect slider pitches each time. And we saw in Los Angeles, a terrific pitcher in Clayton Kershaw hung one. And then Dan Herron hung one. And it cost each a 2-run homer.
Yeah. Well, he's a terrific mistake hitter. But he's getting himself out. They're not getting him out. They're just throwing the ball out of the strike zone, out of his zone, and he's getting himself out. That ball's down out of the zone. He hadn't thrown him a strike yet.
At this point, there really isn't any reason to.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Until he stops swinging.
He will.
With first base open, throwing him a strike.
If he kept going at the pace he was going to have 132 home runs and 267 RBIs.
Yeah, probably that's a little overly ambitious, but they'll put together a very strong season.
High and wide.
That was just here. Let me show you that I have a fastball before I go back to the breaking ball pitch.
Stay with him. Stay on. No, that's 3 times that he's gotten himself out. But we are halfway home. We lead at 3-0.
Thank you, Art Chuck. It'll be Josh Hamilton leading off the bottom of the 5th inning. Swings at a changeup inside. Hamilton, a strikeout victim in the 2nd. It'll be Hamilton, Crone, and Ibar face Chris Sale, who has yet to give up a hit. That one fouled off to the left. Outfield straightaway, fairly deep for Hamilton. That pitch also out of the zone. But when you get something against Chris as a left-hand hitter that looks hittable, you usually go after it. Line drive. Viciato coming over and he can't get to it. And so the no-hitter is by the boards. And Josh Hamilton got a slider right down the middle and dumped it into right field. That is the first hit he's given up to a left-hand hitter all year. You see on pitch tracks, it's right down the middle. And left-hand hitters 1 for 34 against Chris Sale. Short lead at first base. And C.J. Crone takes pitch down at the bottom of the zone for a strike. Crone hitting .295. He was a strikeout victim swinging in the 2nd. That evens the count at 1-1. Outfield very deep for Crone, who's got pretty big power. That one hit well to left field, but Diaza right there in his tracks, and he makes the catch.
Yeah, he was just a shade quick on that. It could have been a 3-2 ball game. He hit it off the end of the bat.
This is a straight change. And Crone did catch it off the end of the bat.
So that'll ring up Ibar. Eric fouled out to Tyler Flowers, who made a nice catch on it over by our dugout. Takes first pitch fastball at 94 for a strike. Look at that, 34 RBIs. A little switch hitting shortstop.
It's pretty amazing, just one behind Albert Pujols.
Well, he's probably recognized as a real solid player more by his peers than he is by the media, so to speak.
Well, he's been a terrific defender since he's come into the league, but lately he's become a much better hitter.
Look at Alexei. Rack him up. Beautiful. Second double play turn by our guys. And we'll go to the 6th. June 14th, we'll receive a White Sox cap presented by the private bank. The private bank we saw for X. So purchase your tickets today by visiting whitesox.com or calling 866-SOX-GAME.
There's more than a few Sox fans in attendance here.
Always. There were that, I think in LA that was probably up at Dodger Stadium the most I've seen. And why not? They're coming out to see a good young ball club. And down here there's always a lot of Sox fans here at the Big A in Anaheim.
And tonight, fireworks after the game. Mike Morin throwing in the bullpen as the pitches are piling up on Shoemaker. He's about ready to deliver pitch number 95.
And it's foul. So the count 2-1. Adams struck out and gone out to left field.
There you look at the numbers. Not bad. No walks, 6 strikeouts. But Matt Shoemaker has run into the wrong opponent.
Ball hit deep, way back at the Stanley sign. He looks up. You can't put it on the board. Yes. Yes. It's 4-0.
11th home run, 28th driven in. And the second in as many nights for Adam Dunn, 451st of his career. And our fourth home run replay will be the last pitch that Matt Shoemaker will throw tonight. As Adam takes it out to the deepest part of the ballpark. Mike Trout can only look up, and Shoemaker can only look down. So we'll step out. Be back after these messages.
University of Chicago Medicine Comer Children's Hospital. We are teaming up to promote a healthy lifestyle and combat childhood obesity. Members will receive free White Sox tickets and cool exclusive kids club items. So whitesox.com/kids to join the club today.
Mike Morin comes into the game. He's 0-1, but a fine 1.13 ERA. This is 16th appearance. It's only pitched 16 innings. Given up 1 home run, walked only 3, fanned 13. And he's out of the University of North Carolina. 13th round pick in the June 2012 draft. Here he is in the major leagues. It really doesn't matter where you're picked, just when you get your opportunity, and when you do, you got to make the most of it, and Morin is doing that.
Here's Alexa. He's 1 for 2 with a run scored.
Shoemaker went 5+, gave up 4 runs on 9 hits, didn't walk anybody, and fanned 6, and he is the pitcher of record on the downside.
Start us off right here, Lexi. He's got the catbird seat. Right there. Right down the Miracle Mile. And the count 3-1. And of course, with that home run by Dunn, Alex Nearly, his family, another donation to White Sox charities. In loving memory of Ursula. Full count.
Well, Phil Cuzzy gave Alexi a break on the pitch before and took it away on that pitch. Count would have been the same.
And there's ball 4. So the first walk issued by Angel, pitching tonight. Chris has walked 1. That was Mike Trout in the first inning. So here's Viciedo. Hit a little soft comebacker to Shoemaker in the second. Then he just missed one in the fourth, taking Hamilton and Trout back on the track in deep left center field.
That one off of Phil Cuzzy's mask. That can't be all that enjoyable.
No, not that one.
Nope.
No, that one came close to being grounds for concussion. 1-1. Amazing, as we touched on last night, when Adam goes to left field a few times, all of a sudden he hits a couple home runs, few home runs. It's just a good thing for him to do.
Eventually, pitchers get real tired of seeing you poke the ball through the left side of the infield when the shift is on. So then you're going to get pitches more to your liking, and Adam would love them middle in and down if he had a preference.
That's what it does. But the whole upside to that is the fact that while you're getting them to come to you, so to speak, with those pitches, you're still getting yourself some base hits and helping the team. Payoff pitch. Oops. Oops. Whoa. Nobody there at home. Howie thought that Ibar was going to take it himself, so we'll take the break. Runners at the corners and nobody out.
I'm kind of surprised that Ibar didn't take it himself.
Yep.
I think that's what Ibar is explaining to him now. It is E6.
Yeah, that was no doubt in Howie's mind and in ours up here looking at it. He was just going to take 2 steps, tag the bag, and double him up. So now they're looking over, see what Mike wants to do. They bring the infield in. And here is Diaz, 2 for 2. 2 doubles, a run scored, and an RBI. Takes first pitch strike. That's going to get the job done. Alexei's going to tag. Hamilton will just get it back in. He'll score. And it's a 5-0 Sox lead. Sacrifice fly. RBI number 20 for Alejandro.
Diaz with his 3rd sacrifice fly of the year.
Well, don't stop now, boys. They want to give it to us, so let's take it. Here's Flowers, a sacrifice. That was one of the big plays in this game. If you're just joining us, did not see it. That was back in the 3rd inning. Set the tone. And here it is. Poof.
Here's our Xfinity high-speed action replay. With Diaz at second base and nobody out, the bunt looking fairly innocuous at the time, but it led to a pair. Adam Eaton drives in a run with a base hit, and Gordon Beckham likewise drives in a run with a base hit. First 2 runs of the game.
And that bunt, that play right there especially is huge against young pitching or inexperienced pitching at the big league level. Now yourself, a guy like yourself, okay, it doesn't bother you too much. A guy like Weaver doesn't bother him too much. You know, guys with experience. But you get young guys, and he doesn't have much major league experience. Nope. Shoemaker. All of a sudden, it makes him maybe squeeze it a little more out there on that mound. As he gets Tyler. 2 down. And here comes Adam. Adam is 2 for 3. Had a 3-1 count last inning. And bunted one that Shoemaker could not handle, and it was a hit. Takes first pitch strike. And very quickly the count 0-2. So that walk to the first hitter more in face to Alexei in the era, the big era, which should have been a double play. And we've cashed in on it. The ball hit right at him. A bullet. He makes the catch, but we'll take it. And we will go to the bottom of the 6th at homer by Dunn. The era, and we lead it 5-0.
photo of the game. Tweet your photo to hashtag SouthsideFanPhoto for a chance to be shown on our broadcast, brought to you by AT&T. It's a fine family of Sox fans.
Sox with a 5-0 lead. 5-9-1 for us. 0-1-2 for them. Iannetta, Cowgill, then back to the top of the order with Howie Kendrick.
One lone hit. That by Josh Hamilton, leading off last inning. I think it makes it a bit special. It was the only hit Chris has given up to a left-hand hitter this year.
That's remarkable.
It is remarkable.
It really is. I mean, here it is. I mean, we're talking about June 7th.
June 7th, and for sale, his 8th start. Now, granted, he hasn't faced a whole lot of left-handers, but
the ones he does face are good hitters.
1 for 34.
I mean, you're not going to be in that lineup against Chris Sale if you're a left-hand hitter unless you're a good hitter. Manager's not going to put you in there.
Look at the man with the lone hit of the ball game. Recently back off the disabled list, where he spent the better part of 7 weeks.
Here you go.
Fifth strikeout for Sale, and it's a straight change. Get more and more confidence in that one, and he'll throw it any time, which makes it impossible to guess along with it.
Yeah, there's the pitch. The rich get richer and the poor get poorer.
You're certainly not going to sit on his slider because you can't hit it from either side of the plate. You hope he throws you a hittable fastball, and if he doesn't, you can't hit the changeup.
Another soft comebacker. Look at Cowgill. I love that. It's just a little soft comebacker and just bust his behind down the line.
When you're a fourth outfielder and you're vying for any kind of playing time, that's what you have to do each and every time, and that's one of the reasons why he's on this team, because he does things like that.
Well, it ought to be if you're making $20 million a year, too. Even as equal, if not more so. So here's Howie. A strikeout and a ground out to Alexei. Fastball off the plate. That one at 94. And that one at 84.
Anywhere from 8 to 11 miles an hour differential between that fastball and the straight change, and you don't give the hitter much of a chance. That one a little bit in front of the plate.
Yeah, he slipped a little bit on that one. To Hopper. And a 1-2-3 inning for Chris Sale. He leads at 5-7. Girls ages 5 to 12 and will be in over 60 communities this summer. So call 630-PLAY-BALL, 630-PLAY-BALL, or visit bullsoxacademy.com to find a camp near you. White Sox summer camps are sponsored by Atletico, by Becker's Pizza, by Comcast Sportsnet, by Sun Times Media, and WSCR 670 The Score.
And we got a new pitcher coming in, and it's Corey Rasmus. He was acquired from Atlanta in exchange for Scott Downs. That was last year. Rasmus in AAA at 2-1 with an ERA up over 4. With the Angels this year, he's been in a couple of games, and his ERA is a little bit higher than he would like. He is the brother of Colby Rasmus.
Beckham, Gillespie, and Abreu. Gordon 1 for 3 with an RBI. Two and 0 the count.
When they sent down Green, they brought up Rasmus to give them another arm in their bullpen. And down by 5 to Chris Sale. Mike Scioscia does not want to burn out that pen.
Well, you can't. As we've talked to him quite a bit this trip. That's the first in today's culture, today's game of baseball. That's the manager's first responsibility, is protecting that bullpen. Robin was talking about it in his pregame remarks.
He was ecstatic of the performance last night of Scott Carroll.
Oh, sure. Those are the kind of things that are unsung, that go very much heralded in that clubhouse.
I mean, he's not going to get anything for it, but he pitched 4 1/3 innings in relief of Andre Rienzo. And even though you come away with a loss in the ball game, you also come away with a fresh bullpen. And knowing that you were going to play tonight, tomorrow, and go right back to Chicago with 4 against the team that you have to catch and then supplant, the Detroit Tigers, that was invaluable to helping keep a fresh pen.
Here's Gillespie. A single, a double. He's 2 for 3. Take strike 1. Yeah, that's the way the game has evolved. Whoa, that's close out there. They get the runner at second.
It's amazing to me how much they work on fielding in spring training, and then you see this. You can't get the ball out of the glove, and Rasmus comes an eyelash from throwing it into center field.
Good job right there by Ibar to keep his toe on the bag.
And up and over Gordon Beckham, who you know was going after him to try to disrupt the play.
So here's Abreu. He's 0 for 3 with 3 strikeouts tonight. $39,089. That's above their season average of 38,417. 1-2 the count. Seventh inning stretch. We lead it 5-0. Bottom of the seventh inning, Trout, Pujols, and Freeze. Then Hamilton, as there's first pitch, breaking ball strike. Trout has walked and then lined very hard and very deep to center field, and a terrific catch, jumping catch, I should say, by Eaton. Fastball, foul back. Yeah, you can have the rest. High, soft, 1 out.
That was to convince his son that he was just doing that so that it wouldn't get all over anything. But it looked to me like he had eaten half the young man's ice cream.
Yeah. Well, he's a rookie.
You know, serves a dual purpose.
Yeah. Here's Albert. Reached on an error and also grounded to Alexei. Had a nice presentation before the game, celebrating his 500th home run. He now has 507. Tony La Russa was here. One and two the count. Two and two. Next pitch will be number 80.
A minimum of pitches with 1 out in the seventh inning. But when you only walk one and you only give up 1 hit, you can do that.
Piazza.
active home run leaders. Albert Pujols, 507. Adam Dunn hit his 451st tonight. The Big Papi, Jason Giambi, and Paul Konerko. The top 5 active.
So here's Freeze. Twice he has gone out to Alexi, once into a double play. And that was going to get by him. Just the second hit given up tonight by Chris, and here's the guy who got the first one leading off. Top of the 5th inning, a bottom of the 5th inning, a soft single into right field.
Only one extended inning, that coming in the first with an error and a walk.
Angels 5 games back of Oakland in second place as there's a strike.
And they knew they had a shot tonight as Baltimore defeated Oakland 6-3.
Two out, 2-1 to count. That's softly hit. That's going to fall. So back-to-back singles.
Now Josh Hamilton has the only 2 base hits by a left-hand hitter against Chris Sale this year.
Here's Crone, a strikeout and a fly out to left field. First time they've had a runner at third base.
The runner's in scoring position. That's one of the reasons why he is still here. Green is down in the minor leagues.
I'll tell you, he's got some big pop. I was watching him at BP
He's strong.
yesterday and today. He hit one, Stevie, today. He hit one almost halfway up that green out there towards the Big A. That's a long way. There goes Hamilton. Picks up his second stolen base. For a man 6'4", 240, he can move it pretty well. He's got what, size 16 shoes? 15 or 16.
He can run well now. When he was young, he could really run. In his draft, he was the first player picked in the country by the Tampa Bay, at the time, Devil Rays.
1-2. Just did get a piece of it. Way up out of the zone. That one in 95. Here in the bottom of the 7th on the 90th pitch from Sale.
Get it with a breaking ball down. Wouldn't all be surprised if he came with a straight change.
I think he's got either hard high or slow low. First thing you want to do is swing low faster. There's hard high. He gone. And we're into the 8th. Just like a player, you can play catch in the outfield. You can warm up in the bullpens. You can visit the dugouts and much, much more. So join us for Family Field Day on June 21st and support White Sox charities. So to purchase tickets, whitesoxcharities.org. That's a fun day. And that is June 21st. Adam Dunn. Alexa Ramirez and the tank. They got the shift on. Adam 1 for 3, led off the 6th with his 451st home run. Two and 0 the count. That pitch at 85 had him way off balance.
Good time to throw that straight change, especially when Adams never seed Rasmus. Last night, Adam Dunn hit a titanic shot. This coming in the 9th inning, his 3rd hit of the night. And tonight, over the center field wall.
2-2. That one at 87. He's taken a couple more miles off of it. He wouldn't have been able to tick it. Full count to Biggin. Got it.
Yet another changeup.
Excuse me. Well, on 3-2, the chances of him getting a hittable fastball are very slim.
Not with what he's done the last 2 nights.
Here's Alexi. Strikeout, a single, a walk, and he scored 2 runs. Takes first pitch strike. Tomorrow, a couple of southpaws out there. Quintana for us, Wilson for them. And that game will be over WGN. And then it's boarding our charter coming on home for a nice homestand for you. 4 with the Giants, 3 with Kansas City, and 2 with San Francisco. Check that 4 with the Tigers, I should say. And here's a look at that schedule.
Tigers come to town for 4 night games. Then it's Kansas City. Then after the off day on the 16th, it's the Giants for 2.
And of course on the 16th, Sox will have their golf outing. At Harborside. As he gets him, so 2 strikeouts for Rasmus. That's 3 in a row. He's still got to weigh you to end the 7th. Here's Tank. Yeah, I'll get you to force him up, call up, and sign up. Slow curveball. Taking a page right there out of Jared Weaver. If you're just tuning in, we scored 2 in the 3rd, 1 in the 4th, 2 in the 6th.
That was a very good curveball from Rasmus.
Off the end of the bat. So an easy inning. We'll go to the bottom of the 8th. Leading by 5.
Thank you, our Chuck. And we move to the bottom of the 8th inning, and Moises Sierra has checked in right field. It'll be the bottom part of the order. Ibar, Iannetta, and Cowgill. Face Chris Sale, who's given up just 3 lone singles, and that's been it.
Ibar 0 for 2. And the count 2-0. There's one. Checking some scores. Seattle beat Tampa Bay 7-4 down to St. Pete. Elias over Cobb. Baltimore doubled up Oakland 6-3 at Oriole Park. That's trouble. He's going to give it a go. Here's the throw. Safe. That's the 17th double.
He thought about it for a moment, just staying at first base, and then realized that Alejandro was going away from the throw. And he got in a good beat ahead of the throw.
So here's Iannetta. He has popped up to Beckham and struck out. And there's a base hit. That's a 5-1 ball game.
'18th run batted in by Chris Iannetta. First ball fastball. Right down the middle. He takes it right back up the middle.
Colin Cowgill has struck out and bounced back softly to Chris. Alexei couldn't get it out of the glove. Couldn't find the ears on it.
Probably going to be E6. But we'll have to see what happens. Had a chance to be 2. It is E6. And the bullpen up and going for the first time tonight.
And they're at the top of the order.
Jake Petrichka loosening in the pen.
First pitch strike to Kendrick, who has struck out, grounded to short, and grounded to third. Take that into right field.
Pitch number 102 on the way.
Yeah, but these pitches right here have duress written all over. That changeup.
He gave up the 2 last inning with 2 outs, nobody out. Nothing came of it as he struck out Crone. And the 2 leadoff hits this inning. The first time, spot of some trouble.
That fastball at 95.
Just the 1 walk there coming in the first inning to Trout. and 6 Ks.
Ball and 2 strikes for Kendrick.
Kendrick has grounded into 7 double plays this year. Puts him second on the ball club in that department. That was a pretty good pitch without the appeal. Take a look on pitch tracks where this one winds up. Bottom part of the zone, and it had the plate.
Take him right here. You don't want to go for it.
Appeal to Jerry Davis. He says no. That one could have gone the other way.
A big pitch right here. Gets it back in. That'll load them up and bring the tying run to the plate. Dave Hansen or somebody got together with Howie Kendrick and told him, look, you're going to have to try to beat this guy to right field. And his reason he was able to stay on all the pitches.
Don Cooper coming out. His first word with Chris Sale tonight.
Sox pack, nobody out. Right here, you just got to break, as Coop went out there, you just got to break the rhythm of what's going on.
Time now for the AT&T U-verse multi-view. The important speed is at first and second. That's Cal Gill at second and Kendrick at first, and they both can run.
And here's Trout. Trout is 0 for 2 with the base on balls.
Where were the bases loaded? Pretty good for Mike Trout. Most of his numbers are very good.
Very quickly, they count 0-2. So the first fastball at 94, that one at 95.
That one way up and in on Trout.
going at 96.
Well, Chris is reaching back. Whatever he's got in the tank, he is trying to get it out. And he wanted to throw that high fastball right by Trout like he did to Crone last inning.
Well, good. That was a good job by Trout just to get a piece of it up there at 96. Full count. Ball hit deep. We got ourselves a tie ball game.
That was a straight change, and it was actually down and out of the zone, and the second career grand slam for Trout. His 12th home run, he's now driven in 43.
That's a big arrow.
Ford home run replay. It's a changeup out of the zone, and Trout went down and got just enough of it. And Chris Sale will take a long, slow walk out. And we'll step out and be back after these messages. By Miller Lite, and it's our Miller moment, and it's a straight change that left the park, tying the game at 5. Chris Sale will get a no decision for his efforts tonight, and Jake Petrichka will come into the game.
We better forget about that and get 3 outs. And we got our work cut out here. Pujols, Freese, and Hamilton.
Jake on for the 25th time. 1.42 ERA.
Pujols 0 for 3 tonight. Takes first pitch strike. Second pitch strike. Very quickly the count 0-2. He gone. Big out. One down.
After a couple of very good fastballs, he throws in a straight change and gets it.
5-9 and a big 2 for us. 5-7 and 2 for them. Here in the bottom of the 8th. Freeze. He's 1 for 3. Chopper 2 Hopper. Two down. For our guys in the 9th, schedule hitters. Piazza, Flowers, and then back to the top of the order without a meet. Hamilton is 2 for 3, 2 soft singles. Quickly, 0-2 the count. Fastball at 97. Chops that one foul over by our dugout. So the count hangs at 1-2. So again, a reminder that tomorrow Jose Quintana against C.J. Wilson. That game over WGN. That's outside. Hit softly into left field, and that's going to fall. He's had 3 soft singles in this game.
That went off the end of the bat. Now you have to be vigilant watching him at first base. He did steal a base last inning.
So here's C.J. Cron. 0 for 3. Hamilton, decent lead. And there's first pitch strike.
Gillespie is right on top of the line at third.
As he should be.
And outfield a little deeper than normal all the way around.
Runs so far here in the bottom of the 8th for the Halos to tie this game up. Grand slam homer by Mike Trout. Once again, the 0-2. Pitch out, nothing on. Base hit.
That fastball was off the plate. And Crone did a nice job of just poking it through the right side. And Hamilton with the play in front of him, representing the go-ahead run at third base.
And a tough little customer at the plate who started this inning off with a double. Eric Ibar. And he takes first pitch strike.
Ibar considerably better from the left side than he is from the right. 3-0-2 with runners in scoring position, but 9 of his last 16 in that all-important department. 293 as a left-hand hitter. In the mid-240s as a right-hand hitter.
And he jumps out on top of Ibar, 0-2.
He has a very shallow and around toward the line in left field.
Ball and 2 strikes to the 30-year-old switch-hitting shortstop. Piazza, very short out there in left. Serra straight away in right, and Eaton fairly deep in center.
Scott Downs getting loosened up in the pen.
His 6-5. Ibar's a tough little customer in the clutch.
35 driven in for Ibar. 10 of his last 17 with runners in scoring position. He takes it right back up the middle, just by the outstretched glove of Jake Petrichka. And the Angels, for the first time tonight, have taken the lead. saw Friere last night. That might bode well, seeing him again, realizing that he's mostly a fastball pitcher. Last night he gave up a couple of runs on 3 hits.
So here's Iannetta. He had an RBI single. He knocked in the first run of the ball game after Ibar had led this inning off with a double. With a single right back through the middle as you look at Friere. Know the count. The 31-year-old veteran receiver.
Harry DiSarcina now going over to talk with Crone at third base. Give me the idea that Ibar might be taking off.
2-0 the count. So it's off single with 2 out, nobody on by Hamilton. Then Crone punched one in the hole between first and second. And then the base hit by Ibar. Six-run inning so far for the Halos. Wow. That's into left center field. But a big crooked number goes up on that board. All right, guys, they can do it. We can do it. We trail it 6-5. At bat on your favorite mobile phone or tablet, you can get live look-ins, instant replays, scores, stats, audio, free MLB TV game of the day, and more. Download on the App Store. Visit whitesox.com.
Got a new pitcher to come in the ball game, and he is their closer, Ernesto Frieri. We did see him for one inning last night. It hit pretty hard, but that, of course, a non-save situation. 0-3, the ERA above 4.5. 29 strikeouts in 25 innings. 8 for 10 in save opportunities, but he has allowed 7 home runs, including one last night to Adam Dunn.
So here is Alejandro. He is 2 for 2, 2 doubles, a run scored, also 2 RBIs, one with a sacrifice fly. Start us off right here. And John McDonald moves into third base. Six, 10, and 2 for them. 5, 9, and 2 for us. 0-2 the count.
Frieri came over from the San Diego Padres, where they really, in the major leagues at least, never gave him a shot at closing. Tries to heat him upstairs, but this one is out of the zone.
Two and two. He knew it. Right there. So here is Tyler. Tyler 0 for 2 with the sacrifice bunt.
Breaking ball that Frieri threw, and it was hung well up and out of the zone. Two down. If you're just getting home, we've had really a remarkable turnaround in this ball game with Chris Sale on the bump. We had a 5-run lead going to the 8th inning. And we trail at 6-5 here in the top of the 9th. Adam is 2 for 4. Ooh, man, that's close. That one just missed. That would have been 2 bases. Greg Gibson on the call, and at the last instant, that one shot on the other side of the bat. Oh, that just missed.
There's a high chopper. This, my friends, is a tough tough loss here. A 5-0 lead with Chris Sale on the mound, 8th inning. And a big error involved. There's no question about that. But those things, that error like that are going to happen. It was not a mental error, it was a physical error. But what a disappointing loss.
Especially with Chris Sale on the hill. He had given up a couple of hits in the 7th and in the 8th. Wasn't a bad pitch, but changeup after Trout fought off fastball after fastball and eventually hit his 2nd grand slam of his career. And a big win for the Angels. A difficult, gut-wrenching loss for our Sox.
And a GMC professional grade player of the game is Eric Ibar, as we talked about. He's a tough little customer. He picked up his 35th RBI. Turned out to be the game winner, our GMC professional grade player of the game. So for my partner Steve Stone, our director Jim Anger, our producer Mike Leary, our associate producer Dave Ross, our technical manager Mark Harper, the executive producer Jim Corno Jr., also for the mayor, Mean Joe Brew, and for Lee Gamble, Mark Antcliffe, Greg Foster, George Albee, Gary Highland, and John Reynolds. JR, this is the Hawk. So long, everybody. Coming up next, Sportsnet Central with Ayanna Crystal. You've been watching White Sox baseball on Comcast Sportsnet.